Welcome back, Strong Lung fans. This is the scariest girl ever. Well, not the scariest one, but she's just as dangerous as the other Lunerboonies. And she is called the Athermaw. Or maybe it's Athermaw. However you pronounce it. I think it's Athermaw. Yeah, now the Athermaw. She's or the Athermaw. Right? I think it's pronounced Athermaw. Yeah, the Athermaw. Or let me see how I pronounced it. Okay, it turns out I said Athermaw, so she's known as the Athermaw. Yeah. Now the Athermaw has this electrical power. She's got this like anti-gravity power. And she's got these she's electrical and she can do anything. Well, I mean, she's got anti-gravity powers, and she can pretty much destroy anything she likes. These are the powers she has. They look like this. See those electrical powers? I didn't quite know how to explain it, so I had to show you them. She's got, like, electrical powers and anti-gravity powers, and she is real crazy with them. I'm telling y'all people, look at that. Maybe I can stick with that picture while I do the podcast so you can remember her powers. Yeah. But anyway, this episode is where you see this guy, this dude crying over, like, it opens with Fango and Limey going for a walk, and you say, this is fun. It is it's actually Limey with Fango. Yeah, Dimey's clone, and they're going for a walk down the street, and all of a sudden they see this kid who's a soda can just crying right up against a tree next to the sidewalk, or however I should explain it. That's when Fango said, "What's going on with you?" Yeah, Fango asks why the kid is crying. He tells him why he's crying. It's because it's a video that's too beautiful for him to watch. So he's not crying because he's sad. He's crying because something is beautiful. I don't know what it means to cry. Here, I'll search it and I'll be right back. Now this is what we call an aesthetic crying, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I don't think I just pronounced it right, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, when Fango realized there's a kid who's crying for like he tells him why he's crying. Well, the kid tells Fango why he's crying. He's crying because of a video being too beautiful. He says, there's too many beautiful stuff, and it's hurting my feelings. Well, no, it's not hurting his feelings. It's just, it's called aesthetic crying. Yeah. That's how you pronounce it. Now, yeah, the kid says that this beautiful stuff is hurting my feelings. Fango says, it's not hurting your feelings. It's just triggering, like, you to cry because it's so beautiful, or however he should explain it. He just explains it that he's not getting his feelings hurt. He says it's hurting his feelings when it's not. When really it's not. It's not hurting his feelings. And that's when Fango says that he's not getting his feelings hurt. He says, you're not getting your feelings hurt.
you're just feeling things at maximum volumes, or like something like that. And then the kid's like, what do you mean? And then Fango says, or I don't know what he says. Yeah. And then he tells him, I mean, your heart's not malfunctioning. It's just turning the feeling dial all the way up. You feel it like a firework going off inside your chest. And then the kid's like, he's like, and the kid still doesn't understand. He just doesn't understand what Fango means by that, but he doesn't ask him. Well, or let's just say he just said, oh. And that's when Fango tells him, big things don't mean broken. They just mean big. It's like, okay. But he tells him that he really just doesn't want to keep crying over it. He's got this fairy doll with him, but it's not helping him. And he's got the soft blanket. It's not helping him out either. The short film, he's watching a short film about, so the kid tells Fango that he wants a girlfriend. He says, well, we're not on that part yet, so yeah, we'll get to that part after this part. He says that, that the story is about maidens, like just, like a female spirit, and she's just so beautiful. They're just all sorts of things, and he just can't handle them, and then that's when we see him. Then after that, we see him wanting. Well, that's when he asks Fango if he can. He says he wants a girlfriend, and that's when Fango says, "You want a girlfriend? What kind?" And then the kid says, "One from that, one that's pretty, the one that has eyes that shines, or you know how like little little eyes, like little white shines on their pupils, like one that's cute. He says he wants a really cute one." And that's when Fango says, "Wait, you want your girlfriend to be cute?" Yeah. He tells him, the kid tells him that he wants the girl to be a maid, his girlfriend to be a cute maiden, a maiden of some sort. And then Fango tells him this, and then Fango kind of gets a little he's like, what kind of feeling. Yeah, he's got a what kind of feeling. And that's when Fango says, "Kid, listen, you don't get maidens just because you're sad. Maidens aren't emotional band-aids." And that's what Fango tells the kid, and the kid's like, "Come on, man. It's not that hard." And Fango's like, "Okay, fine. I'll find you the cutest maiden girlfriend I can find." I'm sure Bobby knows maybe Bobby knows where he can find one. Actually, he means he knows that Bobby, the dragon and strong ones, can make one. Yeah. But he's keeping it a secret because he doesn't want to reveal it to the soda can child. He doesn't want to tell him that he can make them rather than just find them. And then that's when he gets to Bobby's science lab. That's when we cut to outer space, and we see and that's when we see the dream gate open, and we see a meteor appear, show up. Well, let's say that Fango or maybe let's not get to that part yet. Let's get a time card after Fango promises the kid that he'll find it. That's when we get a time card that says it's 5 hours later time card. And that's when we cut to outer space, and that's when we see And that's when we see the dream gate opening, and then the like shooting star coming through the dream gate. We see the Athermaw's like shooting star, and once we see it pass over, and you can see it knocks out the like everything and we see that the shooting star flies over the city. It flies over Semi Truck City, and then it flies, and then we see it. Then it flies over Star Lake and like in between like Star Lake and Shellfield. Then it flies over, and then it crash lands in Heart, and then it crash lands, yeah, and you can see it's knocking out all the power, and that's when you see it crash land in Jade Forest, and that's when you see like, and then that's when all the power, and that's when Jade Forest's power Jade Forest's like power goes out, and then that's when Fango is like about to get there. That's when Fango is, and that's when we cut to the like downtown to the crater where the like Lunerboonie crash landed. That's when we cut to the bottom of her, and then we pan up to her, and we see just how bad she is, and right after we see her, that's when the military already shows up and starts attacking her. But then she attacks back by using her powers. First she destroys 3 buildings and kicks a few cars, but then she grabs them with her magical powers, and then she throws all the debris and vehicles and utilities at the tanks that are attacking her, and the Humvees as well. See, there's military helicopters, and she throws the debris at those as well, knocking them out of the sky. We don't see any fighter jets yet. We just see like all the chaos she's causing. We see like all like the debris, like vehicles and utilities floating and being thrown all over the place due to her. And then we see like the crazy like electrical roars or whatever it is she's making. Not sure how you could describe it, but she's got one alienish roar. She is an alien type. Like, yeah, she is one hostile girl. She's a crazy one, but after all that, we see her like, yeah, after she destroys the military vehicles, some of them, and we see her destroying the city more. Everything is floating around her. That's when we cut to Fango. We see that he is that's when we see him get into when he gets kind of distracted from the boy who's still waiting for his girlfriend, and then he's like saying and then he says, "Oh man, there's one thing I forgot." And then Spoonie and Crawley says he was eating. Let's say he was eating with Doggy and his other friends. Like he was, or let's say he was eating with Spotty and like, let's see, what should Kobe's clone and Eddie's clone be named? I know we got Platty's clone. He was eating at a restaurant for dinner with his friends, 3 of his friends, like, and then that's when he tells them that he has to get the boy his girlfriend, and then they say, that's when Spotty says, "Which boy? What?" And he explains the whole thing. Then he tells them who he's talking about. So that's when we see Fango get outside. You see he rushes to Bobby. And then he tries to get... Then he sees that Bobby's shop is closed. He goes to Bobby's house. He knocks on... He realizes that the lab is closed because Bobby left. He knows where he usually parks his car. He follows. He can clearly tell that. And he realizes where he has the string. And he wants to be able to follow. And Fango follows his way to Bobby's house. And then when he actually realizes that Bobby usually likes to like carry string. He sees it, he follows the thread that is on. He sees that the thread leads to his house, and he sees his car. But then he notices Bobby. Then he notices the thread on Bobby's car. And then he follows. He calls Bobby. Bobby says, Fango, what do you want? He says, hey Fango, what? Fango, how did you find my house? I need you to... Oh, sorry to stop talking. Yeah. So he tells him that there's this boy who wants a girlfriend, who's a maiden. He asks him if he could make a maiden for the boy. He says, what boy? He's this little soda can guy. He lives in... He was like right out the city limit of... Or he was like right outside the neighborhood of Green Ridge up against a tree. Like, and he was crying. And then all of a sudden, Fango he calls Fango on... He tells Fango that... So, well... He just agrees with the fact that Fango just really needs to do something for the boy. And that's when he finds, he sees that the boy is awake next to the tree. He says, oh no, the thing I gotta do again today. Wait a minute. It's oh right, I just forgot that guy from yesterday promised me he'd do something for me. And then well, let's say it's still nighttime. Also, my plan actually is that the Athermaw, or no, we can make it take place in this. It's got to take place here it's got to take place in Jadesboro or Jade Forest. Maybe I was thinking that maybe it should take place in Netbury's, but let's just keep her in Jade Forest. We see that there's this dude watching the news. He runs up to this kid. He says, "Kid, can you believe this? There's this crazy monster lady destroying Jade Forest." He says, "What?" He says, "I don't want to hear about a monster destroying the city. I just want to I'm waiting for my girlfriend. Your girlfriend? I don't know your girlfriend. Unless this is her. He says, no, that's not her. She just hasn't shown up yet. She's different. And then he says, well, okay, just wanted to show you something. He says, I think it's actually kind of fun to deal with something like that. That can cheer me up, and, well, pretty much for now. And then Fango shows up. He says, alright, dude, here's your friend. He says, here's your girlfriend. He says, how are you? He says, I love battles. Wait, kid. Yeah, or like, let's say when Fango returns. Let's say he says, he asks Bobby if he finished. He says, and then are you the kid from yesterday? Oh, yes, I am. And then, actually, he doesn't say that. He runs, and when Fango notices the trouble, we see that we don't get to a scene where Hacker tells him that the dream gate just opened. We see that Fango, or Hacker's looking for Fango, but that's when Fango notices. We do cut to Hacker looking for Fango. He says, I gotta tell Fango that the dream gate just opened. And then that's when he shows up. When he shows up, and he says, that's when Fango says that. He doesn't say this. It's actually when Fango is we see that Fango. So yeah, we see that he's watching the Athermaw on TV. He says, "Oh my gosh, there's trouble." That's when he gets in his mecha suit that looks pretty darn stinking evil. That's when we see the Athermaw. That's when we cut. Then we cut. That's when we cut to Fango notices the Athermaw on TV. He said he hears says, and he also the TV also person on the news says, I wish Fango would come and take care of this. He says, oh jeez, said Fango. He says, man, why didn't Hacker tell me that the dream gate opened? I gotta go. It's an emergency, y'all. He says, here's your money. I gotta go. There is a Lunerboonie on the loose. And then that's when he runs. Yeah, and then he's gotta that's when he runs for his life. And yeah, we see that. There he is. There he is, just waiting. He's waiting for something. He can't find anything. He says, come on, you. And he says, come on, y'all. I need your help. It's cat girls. Oh, not cat girls. He tells us that we just see him get into his mecha suit. He's like rushing. He's like in a rush. He says that's when we see that his mecha suit kind of looks evil. Well, it's got like an angry face. Let's say this mecha suit he drives has like an angry expression on its face. It's like an angry looking mecha suit. And when Fango gets in it, we see that that's when we cut back to the chaos that the Athermaw is causing. And then that's when we see Fango show up right behind her, and then when she notices him, she turns around, and when she does, Fango punches him or her, and pushes her, and then she attacks. Yeah, that's when. Well, before that, we see her before Fango approaches her, we see that she's being. That's when we see the fighter jets attacks her, and that's when we see her throw her debris at them, and then and then she knocks them out of the sky, and they crash. And she dodges them before they crash into her, and that's when we see Fango show up, and then right behind her, but then she notices him, and then he attacks her, and he says, "Ah!" She doesn't say. She's like, and then she throws debris at him, but he knocks it out of the way. He even grabs, and don't try and think that she didn't get any left turn signal water towers, because she did. She got left turn signal water towers with her. Of course, she destroyed, and she got some of the left turn signal water towers. She grabs one of them. She knocks one of them over, and then she grabs more cars and trucks and throws them at Fango. She grabs more debris. She grabs like every utility. Yeah, of course she grabs the left turn signal water towers and throws them at Fango. Fango's like he's like just dodging them all. Like dodging everything the Athermaw throws at him. And then that's when the Athermaw realizes it's not working. That's when she has to use her electrical powers. Then she tries to shock him, but she does. That's when she shocks him, but it doesn't damage him. She's trying, that's when Fango goes in for another strike. Then she tries to hit him with her tail after throwing all the debris and cars and utilities. Debris and vehicles and utilities at Fango. Fango dodges it, and she is just out of her mind. And that's when we just see how much destruction she caused, and she tries to hit Fango with her tail, but Fango, her spiky tail, but then Fango grabs it, and he picks her up and spins her in circles. She's like saying, "Help!" And we see he spins her so fast, and then he throws her into the, and after he spins her so many times, and then he spins her so many stinking times, and then all of a sudden, wah! After he lets go of her, and then she goes flying. She's like, and that's when, and before she could fall back down, and she falls, but before she could and then she falls back down, but before she could hit the ground, we see Fango grabs an airliner from the airport. And then, there's an airport in Jadesboro. Or let's say this battle actually took place in Gluesburg. Because since Jadesboro isn't, or it's Jade Forest, not Jadesboro. It's like, it's one of the cities in Strongholds, but it probably wouldn't have an airport. So let's go for the bigger cities like Gluesburg. Let's say this battle took place in like Rosedale. Say this is the Rosedale battle, and then he throws the airliner at her, and then she gets hit. Maybe the Jadesboro or Jade Forest battle should be in the next episode, and right before she hits the ground, the airliner hits her. Yeah, the passenger airplane that Fango grabs and throws at her. She goes, ah! Well, actually, I was thinking that maybe we could do it this way instead. A person, and then a pilot takes off after she falls, like after she gets thrown. We see that when he sees that Fango's again ready to throw her. When he does, and then he already takes off after Fango throws her, and then he does this, and then she's like right above him. He pulls up and goes and aims up right at her, and then she falls back down, and then she sees that the airliner's heading towards her, and then she screams, and then the airliner hits her, and then but the pilot jumps out before the airplane hits the Athermaw, and then both of them explodes, and the Athermaw is dead. And then Fango says, "What was that crazy pilot think he was doing?" This is, yeah. Fango was kind of was like, "What?" He was like, "What on earth was?" He says, "God, what on earth was that pilot thinking?" And then the pilot parachutes and ends up blown, and the wind blows him towards him. He says, "I was just trying to help." And then Fango says, "Well, thank you, at least." And then he says, "Now it's time to go home." And that's when he returns home. And that's when, after, yeah, and then Fango says, "Well, thank you, I guess." He says, well, the reason why he said it like that is because he just thought it was kind of a, like, bad idea to, like, try and, like, crash an airplane into her like that, because the pilot could have risked himself, but at least he evacuated the plane. And then that's when we cut to Fango leave, and well, we don't really follow him. The camera just leave. We just see the robot like leave and just come off screen, and we just, well, the camera angle just stays at Gluesburg, where the Athermaw was just terrorizing, destroying, like where the Athermaw was destroying the city. And then that's when we cut to a time card that says the next day, of course, just like in the other episodes. And that's when we see Fango saying, well, maybe not Fango. Let me see. And that's when we see the boy still waiting. He wakes up the next day and he's like, when is my girlfriend gonna be here? I don't want to have to keep crying over the beautiful stuff, because I can't, like, help it. Then that's when Fango, and then that's when Fango, he says, and then the boy asks, "How much longer is this gonna take?" And that's when we see Fango show up with his girl, like with the girl, like the maiden. Then he looks up and sees the maiden. It's exactly how he wanted it. He says, and then he runs up to the maiden and hugs it. He says, and then he says thank you to Fango, and Fango says, "You're quite welcome." And then that's when Hacker rushes to Fango with his reward. He says, "Hey there, Fango. Sorry I didn't tell you that the dream gate opened in time. But thanks for defeating the monster, at least. Fango says, that's what I do. And he says, anyway, here's your reward. He says, oh yeah, baby, we got another one. He holds up his reward and smile, and then we see people surround him and cheer for him for defeating the Athermaw and giving the boy a girlfriend. And after we see the people cheering for Fango, that's when the episode ends.